So it's a little bit different today's video. First thing, I'm shooting in my house, which I never do. I'm always on the trails or outside when I do these videos. So please excuse the mess behind me. I'm on a massive DIY project and installing a fireplace. So it's a bit of a mess behind. But I really wanted to make this video. And what it's about is my camera setup. So the big news is the GoPro 9 is now up for sale, and I'm filming now on a Dji Action 4. There's a few reasons for the upgrade, and I'm going to go over them now. So the GoPro 9, it's been a great little camera. I've really enjoyed using it since I started my YouTube channel 2.5 years ago. It hasn't been that reliable sometimes. You guys don't see that because it's all edited out of the videos. But when you're out on the trails, this camera can be a little bit faffy. Sometimes you press it and it makes a sound. It'll go off after 3 or 4 seconds. And when you're ready to go down a trail and you've got all your buddies with you, ready to go, and you're holding everybody up, you're like, whoa, 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 we need to stop. My camera's not working. And I've got to take my helmet off, and then I've got to have a look at it. And sometimes it's locked up and froze, which means removing it from the helmet so that I can take the battery out and redo it. And it's sometimes just does my head in, this camera, and lots of people report exactly the same thing. Now, I have no idea if the new GoPro 11s and GoPro 12s have cured that problem, but I'm just not prepared to take the risk. That's why I've moved on to the DJI. It gets a really good reputation. Image quality now is pretty much as good as the GoPros are. It's got the nice wider field of view, and it's just supposed to be more reliable and easy to use on the trails. So my current setup with the helmet is I've always preferred the chin mount view. I do quite like the view from up here, but I could never do it with this camera because it wasn't a wide enough view. With the new camera, I might be able to do it there, but I'm more likely to keep it on the chin mount. And I know some people like the chesty mount, but I've never liked the view from a chesty because I always feel like on a chesty, you have the camera pointed up like this, so when you bend forward, it's showing the trail. But I always find that it's too much bike in the way, too much head tube. You can't see the trail when you're watching somebody else's video. And my big pet hate with that is when people stop and they're chatting with everybody else, the camera's pointing up to the sky and all you can see is the sky. So it kind of spoils it for me, that. So I never wanted to use a chesty. If it's on the chin, when you turn and talk to people, you see who you're talking to. You see the other guys and girls in the ride. It's just a overall better viewing experience for you people. So the current setup on the helmet is I've got this mount cable tied to the front of the chin mount, and these mounts are really cheap. You can get them for about £10 off Amazon. So that's what I've got on there. It's got a little extender there which helps with the angle. Another issue with the GoPros, when you put them in, you push them into the slots like so, and then you have to feed in the screw. Now I can't do this with both hands. See if I can get a screw. So you've got a screw and you have to feed this in. So every time you want to take the camera off, you have to go through this process of doing that and then tighten it up to how you want it. Now, I mean, it works, it's alright, but again, it can be faffy. And every time you do it, you have to adjust the camera and hope that you're getting the angle right. That's generally about where it is, and it's generally quite right. But there's been loads of times I get on the trail, do a run, and the camera's slightly off and you can't see the handlebars and it spoils the shot. I think you need to be able to see the wheel and the handlebar, otherwise it looks like you're just floating through the trail. So that's a little bit faffy, but this is how I had it set up, and this is what you've seen for the past year or so with it on this chin mount. The other thing that really annoys us about this is when you're on the trail and you're looking for something around, like trying to get to your bag or whatever, this happens. So with the helmet on, you've got limited downward motion because the camera hits here. So it's really difficult to look down and find something. So the plan is I'm going to take this off, turn it around, lower this down a little bit and have the new camera sat up here a little bit. I've already had a test run of it, and when your helmet's like that, you're like that as you go down a trail, you just don't see it. So even though it's going to be sticking above the chin mount a little bit, it won't be in my field of view. The other major advantage is I'll also be able to see the red light flashing and know when it's on. I'm not going to have to ask everybody on the trail, is my camera running? And if I don't think it is, I don't have to take the helmet off. I'll be able to see it without taking the helmet off. And this is a huge thing for me, because like anybody that's been out on a ride with me will understand how much of a faff it is trying to YouTube everything with the camera on it. So I'm going to take this one off and I'm going to show you with the new camera on. So this chin mount is just cable tied on. It comes with straps, but I just couldn't get the straps to keep it tight enough, so I just cable tied it on, which is easy enough to quickly snip them off, and then I can just put some new cable ties on to put it on. So that's that off. I'm going to take this little extension here off because I don't think I need it, and that's just screwed on. So I'll take that one off. Right, so what I can now do is replace that bracket with this, and what this is it's a magnetized part for this camera on here, so it just clips on via magnets and a little clip, which is super quick for getting it on and off. So the theory is when I put this on here, I'll never need to worry about adjusting it again. I get the settings once, the position once, and then take it on and off without ever having to unscrew anything. Alright, so that's the new mount fastened on. I took the foam blue padding off the back because it kind of spoils the look of it a little bit, and I think it's fairly solid like that anyway. It's not going to move, and if it does I can readjust it, but it is fairly solid there. And now, as you can see, I've got the DJI mount on there, so there's one less connection there, and the DJI will literally just clip onto here and sit on here. So let's try that now. What that means is I'm going to have to take this camera off the tripod because I'm filming on the DJI at the minute, and put the GoPro on there and mount the DJI on here. Right, so we're on the GoPro now, and I've got the new DJI in my hand. It's the DJI 4, so the latest one. So that should just clip on there. Now that's not on properly, so I'm going to have to be careful to make sure that when I do put it on, I get it to clip in properly. That's it. It's in properly there. No, it's not. Whoa. So you've got to be careful to make sure it's in properly. But I mean, I won't be taking this off when I'm riding. So there you have it. That's like that. I'm looking at that and I'm not sure if that angle is going to be that way enough for the trails. I am slightly worried that the angle's not going to be quite right, as I would normally have the helmet about that angle as you're going down the trail. It might be that it's showing too much handlebar and not enough of the trail in front. I'm not going to know until I try it. It's not the end of the world. If that's the case, I'll have to put this little adapter back on, and that little adapter will go onto there, and then this adapter onto there. I can keep that tight, and then I'll have a little bit more range to pull that back slightly more. I'm hoping that it works like this because it's just that little bit neater and one less screw to worry about. But we'll have to wait and see. That's what the testing's about. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump in the car, I'm going to blast down to Chopwell, my local, and I'm going to go down one of the red trails there and just have a go, see if that's going to actually work. If not, I'll put that on. Once I got my angle set up and right, the next thing I'm going to do is have a few goes on a few different settings. I know I want it on the widest setting possible. There's two settings I want to try, and that's frame rate. If I can get away with a lower frame rate, 25 frames per second, it makes smaller files, they're easier to work with, and I can fit more onto a memory card. If I'm not happy with how that looks, I'll record in 50 frames per second, which is what I always recorded on the GoPro, and just see how that looks and compare and contrast. So let's blast down to Chopwell. Right, I've made it to Chopwell. So the setup, as I showed you earlier, I've got it like this, but I do need to have a quick run down the small bit of trail and see if this is going to work. I don't think the angle's quite right on that. So that's what I'm going to do now. But before we do, I've got something to show you here, and I'm so jealous, but look at this beast. Adam's new e-bike. These high bike free rides were just an amazing deal over the last couple of months, and seeing it in the flesh, it just looks amazing. It's got Oland's 38 triple clamp forks, or dual crown, whatever you call them. Look at that beauty. Magura M7 brakes on it.
M7s, yeah.
So top of the range stuff, man. Absolutely amazing.
Monster, and it's, of course, it's a mullet as well.
It's a mullet eye, which you've never ridden before.
Nah.
So that'll be nice for you. There's my poor old noodle powered bike. Right, so I'm going to jump on the bike. I'll say this, if you're not subscribed to Adam's channel, he's trying to build his channel. He's called Dirt Cheap Downhill. I'll leave a link in the description to that, and he's going to do a full bike check video on that if you want to see more about the bike. Anyway, let's get going and try this first angle. Right, I'm just going to see if this works or not. Just a very short piece of track. Just got my new shoes on as well. Been a while since I've been out. You what? Pedal, pedal. One thing Adam doesn't need to worry about. Right, gonna go back to the car and see how that looks. Right, I'm back to the car. I'm gonna check the footage on the DJI and see if it looks alright. Got my new shoes on as well. You can't see me handlebars, but been a while since I've been out.
I think that's good actually, because you get a good view of the rider as well. That's what you want, that's all right.
Right, I'm fairly happy with that angle. I think I'm just going to stick with that. If I watch the video through when I get home and I'm not happy, I might change it. But it's just neater and cleaner like that. So I'm going to run with it like that and see what it's like. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to have a go down the main trail, and I want to test the frames per second rate. So I'm going to go down on 25 frames per second first, come back up and do it on 50 frames per second. Been a while since I've been down here. That's a new bit. This is a little bit different. Hit that, mate.
That's great. Where are you going well?
Right, I'm back at the top. So that was at 25 frames a second. I'm going to have another go. I'm not sure if I'm going to go down the same trail or we're going to find something different, because we've ended up with a little bit of a crew here. So I've got it at 50 frames a second now to see what that looks like. Right, take your time. Just take your time. Oh, this is hard to go slow. Good control for us actually. Right, let's have a run down one of these, let's have a look. Oh, the wheel slides like a mother. Bit dry through here. Right. Right guys, so that went pretty well I think. I'll not know what the the footage looks like until I get home, but we ended up meeting a load of people, so we've had a good blast around some of the off-piste trails which I hadn't planned to do, but yeah, enjoyed it. Alright, so I'm back home. A few days have passed since that little blast around Chopwell Woods, and I've reviewed the footage that you've just watched there, and it's not right. It's not far off, but it's just not right. When I had my first go down that trail, I thought it looked spot on when I was just looking at it in the back of the camera, but now that I'm home, I'm looking at it, it's cutting off too much of the top, and you're not seeing far enough in front, like high up, which means if there's a rider right in front of us, he's being cut off, as you'll have seen through some of the shots. So this setup, as nice as it was going to be, because it's a little bit neater, I'm going to have to turn it back over and have it hanging down this way a little bit, so I'm looking a little bit more through the bars, and it keeps the view going up over as well a little bit, so you can see the riders in front. So what that means is I'm going to lose the ability to look into here and see the little light on there. I don't know if you can see it when it's green there to say the camera's on. When I press the button it would be red, so I know that it's recording. That was really handy. But this camera does have different sounds to the GoPro, and it makes it easier to tell when it's recording and when it's not recording. It's not just a sequence of beeps. This is totally different sounds. And also on this, you cannot press the button to put it on and then accidentally change it to photo, which happens all the time on the GoPro, because the on-off power button controls if you're on photo or video. That doesn't happen on here. When you switch it on, it's always going to go to video, because that's how I've got it set. And that was another bugbear with the GoPro, that it would change to a photo, so that can't happen with this. So my plan is now I'm going to take this back off, work out a way to turn it round, and we'll try it like that. So I've taken that off, and I've just stuck on here one of the helmet. It's supposed to go on the top of there, so it's got a little bit of a curve, but look at that, that's super neat. Now, because the shape of this Leat Enduro 2 helmet, it hasn't got a full contact with the 3M stickiness, so what I'm going to do is just put a few cable ties on there just to secure it, and that's going to make that really neat. So there we go, I've got it on, I've stuck it on. Seems to be fairly solid. Let's put the camera on, see what it looks like. Alright, so there we go, that's the camera on. It is a super neat solution, and you can see there that the angle as you're going down the trail, your head's almost like that as you go down the trail. You can kind of see the angle there. It's shooting more up, and if it's not quite right, I can adjust it a little bit more to like that, to get it just where I want it. So there you go, we're back down here. It's not quite as low down as the other one was. The other one was slightly further forward and slightly lower down. Obviously what I was trying to avoid with this setup was this downward movement. If you're standing up, like I said, that's not a big thing. That's just sometimes if you want to look down and fasten, like if you go for a pee or something and you're trying to look down to refasten yourself up, it's sometimes quite difficult to bend forward and have a look. But as you're riding, it's no bother. Obviously the other thing that I've now lost is the ability to actually see the red light when it's on, but I never had that on the other camera. And this camera's got a much better way of knowing when it's on and when it's off. When you press, the sounds are completely different. You're not trying to count beeps like you did on the GoPro. So I'll soon get used to when it's on and off. And like I said before, there's also no chance of pressing this and it taking a photo, because that's never going to be on a photo setting. Unlike the GoPro, when you switch it on, sometimes you put it on a photo by mistake. So that's good. So all I need to do is have another go on a trail, which I'm not going to get to go on for a few weeks, so I'm going to end the video here. But like I say, I'll get the angle of this exactly how I want it, relatively quick. The view will be much better than before. Got all my colours set up, happy with the frame rate, so it's as best as it can be for you guys. And the other big plus, I'm just going to say this one more time, is how easy it is to take this off. So I can just do that, and I'm never losing my setting position. So when I come to put the camera back on, it's always in the right position, and I know that you're getting the best of shots. So there you go, there's a weekend of trying to set up the new camera. Hopefully you're going to like the new footage. It's going to be a little bit wider, and that's basically all it's going to be for you lot, but a lot less faff for me, which is going to make my life a lot easier. And that was a big part of why I bought this camera. Alright then, I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, leave a comment. See you next time, guys. Right, go on then. Still here, mate. Yes. Can't keep. I told Adam to go at 80%. I can't keep up with him when he's at 80%.